While we are waiting to get started, my name's EMC Whitby. I'll be one of the trainers for this topic today. If you don't mind, let us know who you are and where you're from right now, where you are working out of.
Hey, how y'all doing? I'm EMC Duncan. I'm currently over at ATG Norfolk, recently off of the USS Gonzales.
Outstanding. Thank you for your participation.
No problem.
Hey, this is EMCS Aldrich Wyatt. I'm over here at Center for Service Support in Newport, Rhode Island.
Outstanding. Welcome. Welcome to you as well, Liam1 from Atlanta.
All right, all right. Can I get a audio check?
Loud and clear, Senior.
Loud and clear, aye. All right. And I got my video on. I should be able to see my video. Okay, well, hello, greetings, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are across the globe. Welcome to the virtual
Greetings.
symposium. My name is Senior Chief Willie Scott, and I'll be presenting one of the topics. And on the line with us is EMC Kevin Whitby. Say hello.
Hello.
There he is. He's going to be presenting another topic. And welcome, welcome, welcome to the first EM virtual symposium. There have been symposiums in the past, but this is the first virtual symposium. So we expect a lot of participation because, hey, you don't have to get T80 orders to come meet somewhere in an auditorium. You can just dial in on Zoom. So we're really excited to launch this thing, and our vision is to keep this up as long as we need to. And we'll get some feedback from you how often we should do these and what topics we should present. But for now, a quick introduction about myself. Again, I'm Senior Chief Willie Scott, been in the Navy for 23 years now, been on a ton of ships and a ton of shore duty in that time. And I've been an instructor, I've been in QA, worked in plants, pits, you name it. But most important, I've been a sailor just like you. And unfortunately, when I was growing up in the ranks, you had to learn from people on your ship, sailors, deck plate leaders on your ship. But you have the advantage with this cutting edge technology, to network with electricians that aren't on your ship. You have an opportunity to network with electricians that aren't even in your country. So this is big, this is huge, and we are excited to be here. While you're warming up to us, go ahead and put in the chat where you're checking in from, what commands you're from, and what country, what time zone you're checking in from. We love to read those comments and just get an idea, a sample of where people are checking in from. Okay, we have a couple of topics to cover, but before we do that, I want to get into the mission statement. So I'm going to share my screen and get back to the virtual symposium layout there. You should see it in a couple of seconds. There it is. So why are we here? What is a symposium? Well, here's our mission statement. The virtual EM symposium develops and strengthens active component and reserve component electricians mates by improving community effectiveness through networking, training, and knowledge management between master, apprentice, and journeyman level EMs fleet-wide. That's what we're about. That's our vision. That's our mission statement. And we're going to do just that. The first two topics for this virtual symposium will be a history on the U.S. Navy electrician, and I will be leading that training topic. And then I'm going to turn it over to Chief Whitby. He's going to be talking about occupational standards. And this is a great place to start because it's pretty much the foundation, the building blocks about our rate. And so we'll take off anywhere you like from there. We have a bunch of topics that we plan on covering, like selection board preparation, exam preparation, how to write files from the electrician perspective, not those briefs that you see on the old MPC website that has nothing to do with engineering, nothing to do with electricians, but specifically tailored to being an electrician. And of course, that's going to help you progress in your career path and your professionalism. Also, we're thinking about doing ATG. We're looking at getting some inspectors to come on here and talk about some of the most common concerns that they would see on ships, get you squared away and prepared for your next inspection. And the list goes on. And when we run out of ideas, I suppose that we'll be looking for feedback to, bring other topics to the surface. So that's our mission statement. That's what we're about. And by the way, I want to say happy Navy-versary. This is the 100th year of the Navy Electrician's Mate rating. Our trade goes back a little bit further, and we'll get into that once I open up the slideshow. But when our name was officially changed to Electrician's Mate, that was in 1921. So you have a lot to be proud of. You are carrying a lot of tradition on your shoulders as an electrician. And I want to congratulate you for choosing this rate, staying in this rate, and keep the celebration going all year. Tell your friends, tell your family. We're going to be talking about memorabilia and EM swag. We'll get to that when we get to the feedback at the end of the presentations. But we're looking for ideas to celebrate our rich heritage and our history for the last 100 years. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to get with the PowerPoint for my topic, U.S. Navy electrician history. As you can see, we've got an electrician's mate flipping a couple of those knife switches back in the day, and you notice his sleeves are rolled up, and who knows what happened to that shipmate there. But here are the three questions that I am going to tackle. When was our rating established? What was the scope of our job back then? How has our job changed over time? You'll learn that our rating was first established. There's a mystery behind why it was disestablished and then reestablished again. We're going to talk about that. And also the biggest thing is how our rating has changed over the last 100 years. Okay, it all starts in 1883. After the USS Trenton was outfitted with a dynamo to power 266 lamps, the Navy established the electrician rating by General Order 310 back in 1883. A dynamo was the first version of an electrical generator capable of delivering power for industrial use and would later become the platform that other power conversion devices were based on. The word dynamo, or dynamo, however you want to say it, the Greek word is dynamis, meaning by force or power. This phrase was coined in 1831 by Michael Faraday. You should remember that name, who by his invention made many other discoveries in electricity and magnetism. As you can see there on the right, that's a picture of the USS flagship Trenton, first electrified ship. It was soon decided, just after 2 months, that the rating would be abolished. But why? Well, you can blame the gunner's mates for that. At the time, gunner's mates were considered sufficient to keep up electrical systems aboard ship. However, the use of electricity on Navy ships quickly expanded beyond lamps. Interior shipboard communications technology would eventually highlight the need for a separate electrical rating. And so some 14 years later, the electrician rating was re-established. According to General Order 498, here is the monthly pay scale for the newly established electricians. When the electrician rating was reformed in 1898, a globe was selected as the rating specialty mark. However, the globe's physical characteristics were never specified. There is more than one theory of why a globe was chosen as the specialty mark. One explanation is that during this time, the word globe was a reference to an electric light bulb. Those of you that have studied the NAVAL 14344 series, the EM rate training manual, and the NSTM chapter 300 lighting, you will recall the term globe still being used today. However, when the new rating badge was being manufactured, the term globe was interpreted or misinterpreted as being a globe of the world and not a light bulb globe. Another explanation I've heard is that the specialty mark represents the world, showing the Earth's electromagnetic lines of flux. This theory ties into our job as electricians to counteract the Earth's magnetic field using the degaussing system. According to the book, United States Navy Rating Badges and Marks, 1883 to 2008, written by John Stacy, this excerpt shows information put out by the General Orders, Bureau of Navigation, and Bureau of Personnel circular letters, and a SECNAV circular about our rating. Some of this information I've already covered, but I'm going to give you a chance to look at that slide. General Order 230 of 1912 authorized a distinguishing mark of 4 radio sparks pointed down for electricians that were qualified in radio, or electrician radio as they called it, and what looks to be a cannonball with trailing flames for electricians that were qualified as electrician gunner. And there you can see those 2 distinguishing marks. In 1921, the Bureau of Navigation established and renamed the following ratings: torpedoman, signalman, and fire controlman. The electrician rating was renamed electrician's mate, and electrician radio was changed to radioman. So let's transition to the learning of the trade. Back in 1918, Building 19 Alpha in Norfolk, Virginia was constructed and served as the home of the Electrical Trade School. Training was over 30 weeks long, attended by recent graduates from recruit training. Students were trained in maintaining and repairing electric devices, operating radios, and they were trained in ordnance, including torpedoes. If you look very carefully, you'll see the sign that says Radio School just above the entrance doors.
Do a quick whiteboard. Let's get back here. So AH is now
right. In 1919, the USS Electrician, a 75% wooden mock-up of a Pennsylvania-class battleship, was used to train new electricians on the electrical systems on board naval ships. If you're in the Hampton Roads area, USS Electrician was located on the corner of Gilbert Street and Bainbridge Avenue here in Norfolk. The structure stood for nearly 20 years before being removed in the 1930s. Pictured here is her starboard side profile. Pretty cool to know we had our own ship as a building of learning. It's kind of cool, in addition to the schoolhouse. And here's her portside profile in 1922. Pictured here is the USS Electrician commissioning ceremony in 1919. According to the Hampton Roads Naval Museum, the ship was furnished with all the intricate equipment of a modern battleship for that time, with the exception of a radio apparatus and live ordnance. It contained 3 decks with lecture and reading rooms and living accommodations for 160 men. Some of the features of the ship included an electrically operated 3-gun turret, gun rammers and ammunition hoist, an operating boat crane, deck winch, and electrical anchor, and completely equipped fire control system. Here's an aerial view of the schoolhouse and USS Electrician separated by Gilbert Street in 1929. The building still stands in 2021. It's now the Military Sealift Command Annex. They call it Building N19 now. The vacant lot to the left or west of the schoolhouse is now Building N30. The baseball diamond below or south of the USS Electrician is now a parking lot almost exactly the same size the ship was. Here's an aerial view of the same area in 2021. As you can see, the empty lot to the left, now Building N30. The USS Electrician was replaced by a parking lot the exact same size if you check out the length there. And the old baseball diamond is now the parade field. I took a photo from that parking lot. Building's still there, looks good. They just took the signs down, obviously. And here is a close-up comparison of how it looked back in 1919 and how it looks now. If you couldn't see it before, here's a closer look at the radio school sign above the doors. All right, I got a chance to go inside this building. And inside the building, this display case is the only thing left with any clues that it was a former schoolhouse. If you look carefully, you can see a Simpson 260 in there. Some of you might be old enough to know what that is. And an old school clamp-on ammeter. Awesome stuff. Speaking of schoolhouse, here's a photo of the Electrical Trade School in 1920. Here, sailors are learning about armature windings. Here's a schoolhouse again, learning motors. So we talked about learning the trade. Now let's talk diversity of the trade. Before President Harry S. Truman issued Executive Order 9981 in 1948, integrating all branches of the US military, Black electricians were trained at the Hampton Institute, now known as Hampton University. Here's a photo of EMs in the early 1940s learning from Chief Electrician's mate John E. Taylor as he explains the workings of the power system and distribution process. And what about women? Ladies, where you at? I need some photos of female Navy EMs. I thought I saw a joke on the internet somewhere a long time ago that said, female electricians do the same job, just look better doing it. But where are the action photos? I've been on Google Image, I've been on the DVID's website, I made some phone calls, emails, and I can't find any old school EM female pictures. So help me out. I even found the first ever female Coast Guard electrician Her name was Myrtle Hazard, by the way. But I found female Navy IC electricians, and I even found a female aviation electrician, but 0 female Navy electricians. World War II welcomed the women appointed for voluntary emergency service, or WAVES, for a short time between 1942 and 1948. Building on the examples set by World War I, women of World War II entered the Navy and our shipyards by the hundreds as both civilians and enlisted personnel. With many civilian jobs vacated by men that headed off to war, women filled those jobs, working as mechanics, chemists, welders, and you guessed it, electricians. A woman who toiled in the defense industry came to be known as Rosie the Riveter, a term popularized by a 1942 hit song of the same name. Again, I need photos of female Navy EMs, and they can, so we can be properly represented. Okay, I discussed learning the trade. I discussed diversity of the trade. Now let's get into the evolution of the trade. Our trade slowly evolved over the last 100 years. From 1918 to the 1930s, school was held at Naval Training Station, Norfolk. In 1942, there was segregated training at U.S. Naval Training School, Hampton Institute, also known as Hampton University now. And for some reason, the Navy decided that electricians should freeze their globes off, so the school was relocated to Great Lakes, Illinois in 1945, where the first students of the newly titled Electrician's Mate A School graduated from Service School Command. And in 2004, when the Basic Engineering Common Core Curriculum, or BEC, started, the last students of EMA school graduated and the course was decommissioned. The host command had changed their name from Service School Command to Center for Naval Engineering Learning Site Great Lakes. Yours truly was there, and I have a copy of that decommissioning certificate. In 2006, the Electrical Strand 9 Charlie course was promulgated. And in 2017, 9 Charlie was renamed EMA School and remains that name today. But in fiscal year 22-23, the Ready Relevant Learning team has a plan to change our curriculum yet again. So look forward to those changes. And I hope we can talk about that on one of the future symposiums. So here's just a few shots of our EMA school classes in the 60s and 70s. '80s and '90s. And the 2000s. All right. Here are some 1940s era EM rate training manuals. Check these out. Advances in engineering technology, like the use of solid-state devices and computer circuitry, made it possible to automate shipboard engineering plants. Automated engineering plants called Central Operations Systems back then were eventually installed on all Navy ships. To give an idea of how our job has changed over time, 47 years ago, the EM rate training manual had familiar topics that dealt with safety precautions, test equipment, electrical installations, AC power distribution systems, motors and motor controllers, generators, shipboard lighting, degaussing, electrical propulsion and controls, and auxiliary systems. But unfamiliar to some of you, there were also chapters that dealt with logic systems, DC power distribution, imagine that, vacuum tubes, motor generator sets or MG sets, and sound motion picture systems and film splicing. Among color photos, for the first time in our history, the latest EM rate training manual is now available in PDF format and contains interactive animations and graphics. Check this out. Here you can see the evolution of electrical test equipment, including the AN-PSM-4 and Simpson 260 from the 1950s. And to the right, you see the Fluke 8020, the Fluke 75, and the Fluke 87 models. I won't tell you which one I used at EMA school. How has our job changed over time? Navy electrical systems and components are constantly evolving, with new products and ever-changing energy-efficient options popping up on the market. The Navy mirrors the industry and is always looking for the next big thing. This means that EMs need to constantly improve to keep up with the rapidly growing industry. As electricians mates, we must advocate for training and development for all EMs to continually educate ourselves and keep abreast of new developments in our rating. This symposium is a response to the need to support one another through training and awareness. We now have a YouTube channel and a Facebook page. So things have changed quite a bit since 1921. Be sure to make time to contribute to network through, or learn from future EM symposiums. Thank you for your participation. Before I wrap this up and turn it over to EMC Whitby, I want to give a special shout out to thank a few people and organizations for this topic of our symposium. An extra special thanks goes to retired Master Chiefs Jim Lucy and Mark Hakala. Jim Lucy served in the Navy and Navy Reserve for 42 years before retiring in 2016. Jim has a ton of content on the Naval History and Heritage Command website. He works as a volunteer at the Hampton Roads Naval Museum Annex on Norfolk Naval Station, and he presents naval history and heritage programs to active duty sailors in support of Sailor 360 and CPO initiation education. Mark Hakala devoted 30 years in the Navy and spent his whole life intrigued by naval customs, traditions, history, heritage, and uniforms, and loves to share that enthusiasm with his YouTube subscribers. Check him out on YouTube at Master Chief's Sea Chest. That's all I have for now. If no one has any immediate questions on the history of the EM rating, I'm going to turn it over to EMC Kevin Whitby. All right, Kevin, over to you. You're on mute.
Thank you, Senior. Thank you, fellow Sparkies, and welcome to this first virtual EM symposium. I'm Chief Whitby. I'm currently working at Great Lakes as an instructor at the EMA and Sea School. I've been in the Navy for 18 years now, been on an aircraft carrier, frigate, destroyer, mine sweeps, in the shipyard. What I'm going to talk about today is going to be NAV standards and the occupational standards. This topic to me is important because it's the basis of what our requirements and expectations are for our rate and what our expectations are from the Navy of us as being electricians and just a sailor in general. So I'm going to share my screen.
Do it now.
You're supposed to be ready, dude.
I'm working this from a tablet, bear with me.
I told him, get ready. I know.
It's not playing ball.
Hey, Willie, that was a great topic. Definitely refreshed my memory at times and definitely learned some new things there.
Hey, you bet. That's what it's all about. Who is that?
This is the MC Duncan.
Hey, all right. Thanks for joining us today.
Not a problem, brother.
All right, with further ado, we covered the mission statement. So first question is, what are standards within the Navy? All right, standards are defined as the minimum capabilities which the Navy expects and requires of individuals within each rating. The Navy standards is broken down into two categories. You have naval standards and occupational standards. We're going to talk about the naval standards first. So what are naval standards? Naval standards are standards that generally express the non-rating specific skill and knowledge requirements for enlisted personnel in all pay grades. So pretty much in E1, regardless of the rate, there are certain expectations of that pay grade as per the Navy. All right. So up here, this is an example of the naval standards, and you can find this in the Navy Enlisted Occupational Standards, or the NEOX manual. And this just gives you a breakdown of what each pay grade is expected to do as per naval standards. All right, your naval standards are going to cover topics such as watch standing, seamanship, drills, damage control, material preservation and maintenance. So that's where all that knowledge comes from, those expectations. When you look at your advancement profile sheets or your bibliographies, this is where they're getting that basic naval knowledge from. These are the expectations per pay grade. All right, I have the E1 standards right here in front of me, and we'll just give an example. Force protection. For an E1 in the Navy, they're expected to understand and execute responsibilities during each force protection condition posture. All right, so you can use these naval standards to gauge your level of knowledge for your pay grade and see where you fall out. So enlisted personnel are required to demonstrate the capability to perform a skill or their attainment of knowledge described by a naval standard as part of their advancement process. Examples include, like I said earlier, watch standing, seamanship, damage control. You'll also see these things in various PQS that we have to qualify on board ships. Now, what are occupational standards? The occupational standards define the minimum rating specific skill and knowledge requirements for enlisted personnel at each pay grade and within each career field. For EMs, if we want to check out what our occupational standards are, we're looking at chapter 29 in that NEOX manual. And for E3 and below, such as your EMFA, EMFN, EMFR, you're going to look at the Fireman Occupational Standards, which is chapter 35. So let's take a look at what that looks like real quick. All right, so right here, this is an example of the Fireman Occupational Standards. And they classify E1 through E3 as electrical, it's broken down by electrical systems operations, engineering drawings analysis, and mechanical maintenance. All right, you have a task type called core and non-core. Your core tasks are going to be those tasks that everybody within that rating, so everyone who's in the fireman rating, E1 through E3, they should know those core tasks. If you see anything that says non-core, those are going to be more for E4 and above, and it's going to be specialized skills learned while attending a C school. Now we'll take a look at the EM Electrician's Mate Chapter 29 on what our occupational standards are for E4 and above. All right, some of our core task statements are for an E4 would be to conduct preventive maintenance on heating elements or conduct preventative maintenance on alarm systems and components. All right, you also see for an E5, we have conduct preventative maintenance on degaussing system components. Once again, you also have the breakdown. We have an electrical systems maintainer up there at the top, and some of the systems covered is going to be auxiliary electrical equipment, electrical installations, elevators and conveyors, lifting equipment, and so forth, right? So when you do get the chance, I encourage you to go to the NEOX manual, which can be found on the Navy HR, my Navy HR website. In your references tab, just pull up the NEOX module and take a look at these requirements. Knowing what you should know should tell you where you fall out, especially when it comes to advancement time and studying. All right, so the occupational standards, they're reviewed for the EMs, they're reviewed every 5 to 8 years, or whenever it's required from a warfare sponsor. Our primary advisor is CNO N98, and our technical advisor is NAVC. Those are the two top offices or, organizations that have a say-so in what we're required to learn at our pay grades as electricians. All right, we also have an appendix within that NEOX manual to tell us how to make changes to that manual. So if you want to request any type of changes to our current scope of job and stuff, this is going to tell you how to provide that feedback. All right, doesn't mean your changes are going to necessarily occur, and it's sure not going to occur quickly. All right. So the overall purpose of the naval standards and occupational standards is together, they're going to form the basis for implementing and supporting actions for enlisted manning, distribution, recruit training, military requirements, and training and advancement. Familiarity with these standards and classifications will provide enlisted personnel and commands with a better understanding of an important part of the training, advancement, and distribution systems. If you ever wonder how we come up with our C schools or how the curriculum for those schools are developed, the naval standards and occupational standards play a big deal when it comes to curriculum development. I'm telling you that as an instructor and a curriculum manager working out of Great Lakes. Right. So once again, our references for this topic is going to be the Navy Enlisted Occupational Classification System Manual, Volume 1, also known as NAVPERS 18068 Foxtrot. Volume 2 is going to be the information that we want to know as far as NECs. So what schools are available to electricians mates. It'll tell you which ones actually award NECs and what those NECs are going to be. It's like I said, it's located on the My Navy HR website. On your reference tab, you'll click on your manuals and you'll see the NEOX pop up. All right. So other than that, that concludes my training. If you have any questions or need amplifying information on the purpose of the occupational standards or the Navy standards, please just shoot me an email in the chat and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, I promise. Once again, welcome to the symposium. Thank you for your time, and I hope you found something useful out of this. The whole purpose of this symposium is to exchange information. That way we all rise together, right? We want to build a more proficient EM rating, and we also want to increase our rating pride, right? So if you do have questions, you can ask it on here, or you can type it in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Senior Chief Scott. If I can figure out how to do that.
I think you just figured it out. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chief Whitby. Awesome presentation. I really appreciate the time and effort that you put into that and sharing it with us. You know, we talked about this, you know, occupational standards is the core, is the building blocks on what, you know, what we're supposed to know, what we're supposed to learn as electricians mates. So good on you. I also like how you tied in that change request. That's important. People complain. I don't like this, I don't like that. Okay, well, do something about it. If you don't like what you see or you think something's missing, take advantage of the opportunities to submit change requests. There are some things in that EM rate training manual, and no disrespect to anybody that helped put it together, but over time, things change. And so 2016, maybe a couple of years we can go without more revisions, but there are some things like the NECs. The NEC, the legacy NEC codes have changed. So now there are a different group of numbers that, you know, I have a hard time keeping track. So I use that crosswalk tool to, you know, connect whatever the new NEC is to what I know and love, you know, 4615, 4675, you know, that stuff like that. So this is good stuff. I appreciate the training. Thank you, Chief Whitby. Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
It is time to open up the floor for discussion. We've got about roughly 15 minutes to chit chat, ask questions, give any feedback, and discuss what we should talk about during the next symposium. Chief Whitby already laid it out. And I mentioned it in our mission statement. It's just about us electricians coming together using a virtual platform. That way we can all meet from, you know, if we find the right time, and that's something I like to discuss too. Is this a good time? Is 1830 on the East Coast a good time universally? For us to come together and discuss what's on our mind. It's gonna help us, it's not gonna hurt us, it's gonna enrich us. Two things I wanna mention before I turn it over, and I hope Chief Leal is on. I thought I saw his name. There are a couple of websites that I wanna bring to your attention. I think I'm gonna share my screen. Yeah, I'm gonna share my screen. Share screen. There we go. All right, you should see what I'm seeing in a couple of seconds. Okay, this is the Navy Electrician, U.S. Navy Electrician Facebook page. I thought it had a banner. What happened here? Let me click this one more time. Yeah, that's it. I thought it had a nice fancy banner. But anyway, for those of you that are not aware of this, this is one way that we stay connected and one way that we can see, you know, what's going on, what's changing out there. Oh, that's why my Wi-Fi sucks. So I'm gonna wait. Okay, but anyway, for those of you that aren't aware, I think it's loading now. Here we go. For those of you that aren't aware, this is where electricians meet on Facebook. There are active duty electricians mates here, reserve. There are nuclear, you know, EMN that are here. And a lot of the contributors here are retired. So it's a way to keep our community together, even beyond retirement. I see all the time on here, hey, I need a part number. Look at this picture here. I need a part number for this heater, for this overload relay. Somebody help me out, right? A lot of good stuff in here, a lot of good resources, right? And this is a place to save a lot of frustration. If I had this tool 15 years ago, oh my goodness, I would not have gray hair.
Hello? Hello,
And there's Chief
EMs?
Leal. I don't know why that's
Yes,
loading here.
we're calling for you.
But anyway, that is the EM, the Electrician's Mate, U.S. Navy Electrician's Mate
Always
Facebook
serve,
page.
and every electrical system
And that's a
is
good
ready to go
transition.
for the underway.
That's a good transition.
The personnel in our
There we go. This is a good transition to the next thing I wanted to point out. And here is the EM Electrician's Mate Training YouTube channel. Now this has been around, I think, since 2017, somewhere in there. And it's run by EMC Oscar Leal, and he's up in Annapolis. I want to take this opportunity to thank him for doing this because there are a lot. Look at this. There's tons of video about Navy EM stuff, right? And it's not interactive, but it's a very good tool to use. So please, if you don't know about this YouTube page, go subscribe. That way you can be appraised of, some good training material, okay? Also, we will be hanging this recording of this first virtual EM symposium on this YouTube channel. And we'll link this YouTube channel on the Facebook group. So I don't know if there's an Instagram one. That's kind of beyond my awareness. But those are the two things I wanted to point out. These are the tools that we can use to stay connected. Okay, I think this is a good point to open the floor up for discussion. I'm going to take everybody off of mute. Okay, I asked you to unmute. So it's on you. Come on off. Tell us who you are. Give us feedback on what you saw today. Give us pointers on how to improve. What topics do you want to talk? What topics do you want to discuss next time? Give us some feedback.
Well, I can't share my screen. My camera doesn't work. But I'd like to see some more of the Electricians Made history in future symposiums. I learned a lot today. I didn't know a whole lot of that.
What do you want from me, blood? That took 3 weeks of research.
Seeing some women in Electricians Made ratings would be great.
Yeah, I agree.
Not to poke anybody there. Maybe a little bit on the nuclear side of the house. I think I'm the nuclear representative tonight.
Okay, EMN history.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm willing to look up some of that and maybe get it to you for next year.
Next year? Whoa. What happened next year?
Oh, the next annual symposium.
And who said annual? We're going to do this. We're going to do this at least quarterly. And if we get more complaints, we'll do it monthly.
Okay. I may not be here for the next one, but we'll see. Submarines.
Right. Those silent things that, yeah.
With no windows.
No windows. All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate that input. Anybody else? Give us, what about the time frame? Is this good? 3:30 on the East Coast, 6:30 on the, or 3:30 on the West Coast, 6:30 on the East Coast, and just after midnight, I think, in Japan. Is that right? Oh no, just after midnight in Rhoda, and in Japan around 7:30 in the morning, I believe. Any input on that?
I think it's a great time.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't see if I was talking or whatnot. It's hard for me to tell. But I did want to say, reach out to the EMC about the NEOX. Great topics, and you could definitely bounce those off of your bibliographies when you're studying for your advancement exam. That's a great reference, great tool, and I think that was a very relevant category. Me being from ATG and just recently getting there, I'm still in school actually, but I've been on a few missions and I've been in the rate for probably about 15 years now. But what I have seen, and maybe we can get a little bit better on this, is us as electricians need to stop violating our own policies.
Yes.
We are the biggest contributors to electrical safety,
Yes.
but the other side of that coin is, it's like saying only chefs get burned on stoves. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
we're electricians, because we deal in that field each and every day, of course, we're going to be the biggest violators of our own policies and programs. But I think we can be a little bit better at that.
Yes. Yeah, we can't play police and violators at the same time.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for that feedback. I appreciate it.
So the training was good today. I would wish we could go back to, I understand the Facebook page. The thing I would say is we can go back to the email distro, because I know personnel is underway. They don't have that option to get on email, on internet. So I wish that in the past, I don't know how long everybody's been in, but in the past, we had I don't know if everybody remember it. It used to be Jim Burke.
Yep.
Yep.
He made up a distro list when he was at the Navy Safety Center, and that was the best thing that any we could all have. We knew when the 300 was getting remodified, we could get emails. You could ask for help from other ships. You could do everything right there off email. Pictures was coming in. If you was out to sea, you get a picture. It might come in slow, but you'll get a picture instead of waiting until 1900 at night to get on email because everybody else is on there.
Yeah.
I mean, get on
That's a great
internet.
point. Yes, you're right. And it should be easier now in 2021 to do that, as opposed to back then, right? So yeah, we'll look into that, see how we can best get a new distro going.
Yeah, the distro was, but the one thing about it is, because I was picked up chief in 08, and the distro was made in I think 2009 or 10 or something like that. But it helped through InServ, it helped through inspections, and you knew things was going on before it happened, before instructions came out or messages came out. It was just a good helping tool. So it was just it was a good helping tool.
Absolutely. The inspectors weren't the ones telling you about the instruction. You already knew it.
Yeah, you already knew what was coming out. Or if somebody had a question about the instruction or misunderstanding, they could copy it, email it out, and ask for inputs. But the other thing, on the other side aspect of it was we had a lot of, and the biggest thing that made it so big was it had a lot of captains on board.
Yep.
The captains really stepped up and helped out the electricians and backed up the electricians on things that they needed to do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
So great feedback. We'll definitely see what we can do to work it and make this even better and reach a wider audience.
Hey, quick question. How long is EMA school nowadays?
15 days.
Oh
Big
my
fan.
God.
Yes. Just 15 days.
Is it still self-paced?
No, this actually instructor led now.
Do they have equal?
We don't do the CBTs for the EMA school portion.
Oh.
But it does need some work. Some of the stuff, so when I came through EMA school back in 2002, right, it was definitely longer than 10, 15 days. It was around 3 months or so, and we covered a lot of stuff. But a lot of that curriculum got taken out. They kind of split it some and made ATT.
Yes.
With this upcoming RRL stuff now, they're gonna crush it back into one course where the EMs are gonna own it. It's gonna be like a electrical common core.
So it's going back to, so when I went through electrical common core, so you had common core, which was basic engineering. Then you had
E-core.
electrical common core, which was 3 months. And then you had your A school.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, they're not gonna give us back all that time. So that costs money and they're not gonna front up that much money. I think with this RRL turnaround though, they're gonna extend back out to about 5 weeks versus, 15 days.
Okay. And I'm not saying that the length of time of school is gonna produce a better electrician coming out to the fleet, so to speak. What I would say is it would be more beneficial for the sailor to come out to the ship with that baseline knowledge. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So that
Yeah.
you're not. I mean, you can still start from the ground up, but the concepts are a little bit easier to grasp.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, electrical theory, it's not the most exciting subject. I mean, you really got to be into it to read through it and understand it. And I probably didn't start understanding concepts until I read them 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And those manuals are super thick, you know.
Yeah, believe me, you're preaching to the choir. I used to be on a ship and, we get a new sailor and I'm like, man, what are they teaching you in A school? Now I'm on
Right.
the side of the table.
So I got a question.
Yes.
In celebration of our 100th Navy-versary, is there anybody, or do you know somebody that knows somebody that could design a commemorative coin or a belt buckle or something? I want to be able to advertise and advertise some swag so that we can represent our rating.
I'm a terrible artist. I draw stick figures.
I've got a creative group of people that I work with, and I've got a computer program that I can come up with some pretty cool designs on. I'd be willing to do some of that.
Okay.
I got about a month of freedom though.
That's all we need.
Okay.
I don't know if you could see this. I found this on the internet.
Oh, nice.
I think it was, I don't know, I think it was like $11 or something. And it says since 1921. I thought that was cool, so I picked it up. But stuff like this is what I'm interested in getting because that's what I like. I like coins, I like belt buckles. So, okay, awesome. I appreciate you speaking up on that. Can you send me your email address, how I can get a hold of you, Rob?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You could just put it in the chat as a direct message.
I'll send it out there.
Anybody else? We got about 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna cut everybody loose.
Senior, this is Ian Darvin with NOSC Atlanta. I just wanted to see if it's possible in future symposiums to develop some type of way of giving out training or giving ideas of how to stay current with our rating. For example, I've been at the NOSC for 2 years, and the ship I was on before the Cowpens was in phase modernization. It had no engines or generators and had one shore power cable. So coming up with techniques on how to stay current with our rating while on shore duty or away from an active ship would be really helpful.
Okay. I'm writing that down. Staying relevant while on shore.
Appreciate that, Senior.
No worries.
Senior Chief, good evening. First, I'd like to say I really appreciate the symposium. It was very informational, and I appreciate all the work. You came and spoke to me, I want to say it was last week, over at the Surface Warfare School learning site in Norfolk. We were going over our new pilot programs.
Yes.
I'm Ian Guzman, myself and Ian Sanga were the course supervisors for the new pilot programs for deck electrical and habitability electrical. I received some rather upsetting news about 2 days ago. They told me that after we wrapped up our pilots, we submitted all of our inputs, all of our corrections and stuff like that. They said that they were out of funding to make those corrections. So I was like, all right, does this mean that we're going to start our courses with the material that we already have, seeing how they're already in contract to start both programs in October?
Yeah.
And Chief Taylor, the C square M square was telling me that's probably not going to happen. They're talking about canceling the courses until the following year in 2022. So this, I kind of got upset with that because running through the course, I thought EHAB especially, this is a very good course for those E3, E4, junior sailors that are not quite new, but still new,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's great information for them to have. So,
Right.
I appreciate that you came down and talked with us and you saw our setup, you saw our classroom. So just wanted to share that with you.
Okay. Hey, thanks, EM1. I appreciate that feedback. And I'm sure everybody else who heard it does also. Let me see if I heard you correctly. It sounded like you said the recommended changes after you did the pilot course were not going to be funded. That doesn't mean the stuff that was already prepared before you launched the pilot is going away, does it?
So what's
Yes, that's
happening
correct.
is,
So I guess they weren't able to fund the original contract to modify the course with the changes
Okay.
and the corrections to the curriculum that we submitted.
Okay, I see.
so contracts expired.
Wow.
And so
So it's on
Yeah,
hold
there's-
now until 2022.
Okay. And that's both.
Hopefully in October, when they get funding again, they'll be able to, fix the inputs that we put in, send the material back to us so we can repilot it,
Before
and
you
then try to start pushing it out then.
Right. Okay. Well, hey, now that we're doing this, we're going to be meeting at least quarterly, right? You could keep us updated on that and we can advertise that because CanTrack, I don't think most junior electricians have access to CanTrack or even know what it is to go through there and looking for this new school. But by advertising it and saying, hey, this is new EHAT class coming up, it'll be a great opportunity to, learn some galley and laundry equipment and troubleshooting and how to read schematics and wiring diagrams. Chief, can I go? We're in a shipyard. We got time. We're not deployed. Can I go? So
you
yeah.
send them on to send them the systemic.
That's right. Send them a systemic. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, we're about out of time. I am going to put, and Chief Whitby, you can do the same. I'm going to put my email address. Where's the chat? I lost the
So
chat.
I just posted mine in the chat.
Okay, here comes mine. Okay, there's mine in the chat. If you have any questions that we did not answer today, or you think of some stuff later on, some people call it hang fires, I call it stray voltages, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Chief Whitby, and also the Facebook page. For those of you that are watching this on YouTube later, you can't see it in the chat, hit us up on Facebook and definitely check out that YouTube channel. All right. That's all I have for now. Again, thank you for coming. I'm going to leave you with these future topics so far: repair electrician, tool issue custodian, electrical supervisor, EPSI, SKU. We'll be talking, those are the qualifications. We'll be talking about, eventually we're getting into 3M and tag out concerns, other EM publications, EM community overview. I'm really looking forward to that one. The EM enlisted career path review, eval writing, selection board preparation, Navy Cool and US MAP programs, and the retirement process. So those are some topics that we just generated. If you think of something else, inspection prep was another one. I think I mentioned that earlier. We're trying to get an InServ or TMI person in to give a brief on that. If you think of something that we should present at the next symposium, please let us know. Our email addresses are in the chat and you can find us on Facebook. All right, with that said, be safe out there. Happy Navyversary and enjoy your weekends. Take care, all from here.
Thank you.